Hey guys, before this time lapse gets started, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for 50 subscribers on the channel. We're so grateful for your guys' feedback, your engagement, your comments, your likes, and of course, your subscription to our YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much for 50. Let's get to 100 right now. Make sure you guys go and subscribe right now so you don't miss a future time lapse. We're going to be doing more than just time lapses here in the future also. Kind of shake it up a little bit. But yeah, guys, continue to keep watching. We're super thrilled that you guys are just as engaged with this project as we are. But with that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the time lapse. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to time lapse number 6 for Panhandle City / Abelia County. So in this video, super stoked. We get to do essentially get to 95% completion here on our downtown island. Which is just awesome. I wanted to make sure it's kind of cutting it close. I'm actually glad we did as much as we did over the weekend because even from Friday, if you guys saw the stream, you could see we were still kind of a ways away in terms of getting the roads done, getting all the finer details done. And it really took us all of this weekend to kind of get all this footage that you're seeing here. Several hours of footage boiled and cut down into this nice time lapse for you guys. So anyways, as you can see on the outside in the very beginning, I was pasting in some of these kind of custom palm trees that I found. And I think they look really good for the pedestrian walkway that goes around the entire island. I think they just really fit the theme well. Of course, it is a kind of shooting for that Miami vibe, so I thought palm trees would go perfect. And then you can see here, I'm kind of just going around to any of these areas that had like just a, sharp 90 degree. Even though it didn't really look bad, I thought it would kind of look more interesting if we put like a diagonal there, kind of smooth it out. And so that's exactly what we did here. And kind of same thing, I was just finding these kind of gaps of grass and just kind of deciding if the walkway would be better. And there you can see we kind of left that patch of grass just for the sake of it. And yeah, so, just kind of roughing out the edges of kind of what we built. I think it's really good, a really good strategy to, build cities like this with the detail is just kind of start with a base, right? Start with like a framework for where everything's going to go and things like that. Not a bad idea is to kind of maybe do your roads first. We essentially did, I think we had one or two buildings in before we actually did build all the roads and finish them. But, I think laying out the roads first is great. But you also don't want to limit yourself in terms of the, what size buildings kind of fit in between the roads and things like that. That's one thing that can get kind of annoying if you build your roads, first, and then you have this big grid, but then none of your buildings really fit how you want them to. And so that was the goal with this this section of the Abelia County, but this section of downtown in particular, the whole island, was to do just as few roads as possible. So really all we have is the main road going through the island, which is what we're effectively calling Downtown Drive. That is the 4-lane road the inside, or essentially the 2-lane median 2-lane. That is that road there. And then the one you're seeing here on screen as I'm working on this kind of diagonal here is Skyline Circle. So that is essentially it's a circle that goes all the way around the island, which you can see in the journey map once I pull that up, which I'm sure you've seen multiple times already. And then there's just the one intersection. Now, could you get away with this in real life? Most definitely, probably not. Okay, I mean, a city that would need this type of density and this amount of skyscrapers and high rises almost certainly would have a super large population, and there would be a lot of car volume. Now, it's Minecraft, and we're going to assume that we are way in the future, and there's not that many cars. There's not as many cars within this city. We're calling it the most walkable city ever, and so most people don't have cars, so that's the goal at least. But of course, with Panhandle City, with Abelia County, we don't want perfection. And not only do we not want perfection, we don't even want necessarily like hyper realism or just super realistic in general. All we want to do is essentially use real life as a guideline, as a framework for the city, but then just kind of make it our own. It's Minecraft. It's a game. We can do whatever we want with it, and so that's what I love. It's just that we can make this a super personal project and not just. I feel like anyone can really make a city in Minecraft, and make it look super realistic, and then they kind of just end up all blending together, looking the same. But to take something and make it unique and like your own road style, have your own. Of course, I say unique, as in we don't really build all the buildings. However, I'm sure this is a unique combination of these buildings that has probably never been used in any other city. So I'm sure you guys get what I'm saying. It's unique to us. And so it just allows us to really put the passion in it that we want to. And it kind of means something to us because, the theming, the style is related to our hometown. And even though our hometown is not super large like this in particular, but we can just add those things in and sprinkle it in. And so that's kind of what I'm getting at here is just that everything's not going to be perfect, but it is going to have that kind of personalized passion and feel to the entire city. And so that's our goal, really. And, that's really all we want in the end. You can see here we're adding some of these bigger spaces. I thought it'd be a good idea. Just add a little bit more parking. We do have obviously the main parking garage, and we have now a couple parking lots that we'll add throughout just kind of these bigger areas that were left empty. And of course, once again, there's probably in real life would be way more cars than, what we could support in our downtown. But this is at least a good start. And, once again, we're going to say that the city is very, very walkable, right? That's our hypothesis here. Which in theory it is. I mean, we have crosswalks everywhere. We have our pedestrian bridge over on the other side. We're even going to have a subway loop that goes through, which I know you guys saw kind of the beginning of that in the previous time lapse. Unfortunately, we decided to kind of just focus on the above ground first, but we're super close. So really all that's left to do is actually do the subway stations. And as you can see, it is nighttime. Slaw was mentioning like, we should probably do street lights. I was like, yeah, you're right. I was going to see if just like the lights of the buildings themselves would actually just kind of light everything up. But I was like, we'll probably just add some lanterns to the roads. I think it'll make it look better anyways, make it look a little more realistic. So that's it. That's all we have left for downtown. We're going to do the lanterns. I may do those off, or the street lights, I should say. I may do those off camera. I don't think those would be particularly notable. But in the next one, we'll definitely be finishing that subway loop. So we get our full loop that goes all the way around the island. So make sure you check that out. And then essentially all that's left after we do the subway, finish that, and the streetlights, of course, is the bridges to get off of downtown. So we have of course, the main bridge, the Will Howard Memorial Bridge is our main one going into downtown. But we need to do the one on the other side of the island that's running east to west. We want to try to finish that one as well. So that's really all that's left for downtown. So really crazy that we've just made this much progress so quickly. And we've kind of finished off this section of the island, of the greater island. This is the mini island that we built all this on. And so we're thrilled to kind of start, working on some other areas as well, not just like the downtown. Even though this is obviously the really cool part, getting to do the skyscrapers, because we probably won't have any other areas of Panhandle City that have the big skyscrapers like this. I just can't really think of, we might have other cities that have maybe a few kind of mid-rise kind of buildings, but nothing like this downtown island. So it is cool to kind of do it first. Maybe a little sad that we did it first. We're not necessarily, kind of saving it maybe for the middle or something, but it's all right. It is what it is. We're still excited to have worked on this part of the city. And so, our goal is to work on, I think we're going to go to Panhandle City Beach next. So PHC Beach is going to be our next area. And that's where we're going to have some more condos and things of that nature. But what's good is once we get kind of done with all the high-rise density buildings, we can really focus on kind of spread out neighborhoods, just very kind of more spread out cities, right? Which will take up more surface area, which is good because, we don't want to be building just up everywhere and everything be super dense. I feel like we made this island really dense, which is a good thing, obviously, especially in the sense of all these walkable areas that we're kind of adding in. So it's really super dense with detail and, just in terms of the buildings are pretty close together. And so that's, of course, great, but it makes it difficult to kind of fill out areas because you have to add so much to it. And since all the buildings are building up, it's not like we can get like a neighborhood with like 100 houses and like spread them out to take up a large surface area. And so that'll be nice once we get to that, because then we can be filling up more of the island more quickly, even though it won't be quite as dense. And so you guys catch what I'm saying here. But yeah, so you guys can see our main goal now is kind of just to fill in all these areas with little things like flower beds, trees, fountains, benches, just kind of those little things that just make kind of a downtown area downtown. Definitely probably one of the nicest downtowns. At least if this was in America, it certainly would be. Additionally, we also have some kind of market buildings that I added, as well as some like food truck, food stand type deals, and you guys will see those here shortly. However, I feel like those really added to the vibe of these, just kind of the walkable plaza type deal, or something like if you were walking down like by Times Square, you have all these little booths and things, people trying to sell you stuff like fruits and things like that. That was kind of the goal here, at least. And it's not perfect. There's just a lot of things that really aren't, that we maybe left out from real life that would actually be in real life, or that we just didn't properly convey. And like I said, we're not going to let perfect be the enemy of good here. I think once we get finished, it feels complete. And that's really kind of what matters, is that the city feels complete. Like it feels like everything has a place. There's not too many empty gaps of just nothingness. And so at the end of the day, we could always go and add in more and more and more detail. But we don't want to spend too long on one particular thing. I'm sure you guys can understand that. So here is the restaurant that we were building in the live stream. And we've made, we kind of stopped like halfway through building it in the live stream, unfortunately. But I did want to show you guys kind of the finished product, and that's this here. We ended up calling it Cheers Bar and Grill. I think is, maybe a little corny, but it's cool. And so, yeah, you can see just kind of added like we have this indoor outdoor third floor where you can kind of go out and there's the bar on the inside, which I think looks really cool. And this is a completely hand designed building. And so I wanted to have at least one of those in this area, because then, we can just have something that just kind of feels homey to us, like we made it. And so I was really excited to kind of throw that in here. There's a lot of cuts coming up, so I'm going to try to briefly explain those, and then I can kind of get back to explaining some other things. So this here, this is the market I was talking about. So this is where you buy like maybe fruits or meats, things like that, of that nature. But I just kind of wanted to show them to you guys before I forget. And then these are the food stands. So yeah, you can see here in this particular area, I kind of lined a few of them up, and then I added this like outdoor seating, which I thought looked really cool, which kind of made sense to me. And then Slaw went in and actually changed like the colors and some of the signs to those as well. Now here, I decided this north part of the island, it kind of had all this green left over. Thought it'd be cool to implement like a small park or just like a little nature trail back here, just to kind of vary it up a little bit from just having like trees spam everywhere. And so yeah, that's exactly what I go to do here. Just add a little gravel path, and then I was like, we'll do a little pond in the middle. I think it'll really kind of fill this space way more nicely than just doing, spamming birch trees everywhere, which we do for many parts of this island, but for many of the empty gaps that were just grass, we ended up putting in trees. But I'm okay with that because really there's not a lot of trees like within the actual downtown area itself, and I feel like most downtown places try to make an effort to have as many trees and nature as possible within their downtown. So I feel like this was the best way to kind of incorporate it, just kind of have it on the outside, and we still have a few trees kind of within the plazas themselves. But yeah, and one thing that kind of stinks too that I'll talk about a little bit is, when like I was saying, when we're building the base, right, we're building the framework for an area. In this case, like the downtown area, we built the roads first, then we kind of did the buildings, or at least the outlines for the buildings, then we kind of filled in the buildings. That part is typically very quick. It actually doesn't really take that long to at least lay out the framework for where everything's going to be, and to actually build the road system, without the paints and everything. It's actually very easy to lay all that out, and really doesn't take that long. What does take a long time is the details, is the little nitty gritty things. All the trees, the fountains, the benches, the parks, everything that is involved, or all the road paints as well, doing all the traffic lights and making sure all the turn lanes are good. All those little details, all the signs that we end up doing, the parking lots, all those small details are really what takes up actually most of the time, a good majority of the time, as opposed to just doing the framework. So even though like doing just like the basic framework stuff like looks like we're progressing a lot more, really most of the work is actually being done within the details themselves. And so it may not feel like we're getting very far, but I think it's it's a necessary thing to do, is to add the details. Because even though it takes a while, it really makes these areas feel 10 times more complete and just nicer to look at on the eyes, things of that nature. And so that's one thing I'm going to try to balance in terms of the time lapses, is if I can try to get all the detailing down to one time lapse or two, because otherwise I could spend like 3 time lapses like detailing an area, and that could, I just don't think that's really that interesting for you guys to see multiple time lapses in a row of just kind of the details. I really want to strike a good balance between, we build some roads in this time lapse, then we build some buildings in this one, then we do some details in the next one, and then it kind of repeats, the cycle kind of repeats. Like I know in the beginning we were kind of doing all roads, which, inevitably makes sense because we kind of need to lay out an actual road system first before we even get to any buildings, for it to make sense. So, it made sense that we started off with maybe more road buildings first, just doing the roads first. But then, we've kind of now tapered off to where we have a good system, I think, of doing buildings, then detailing, then roads, and kind of repeat those 3 kind of in a loop. So that's good. I'm glad we're kind of here now at this point. Now you can see here I'm designing a basketball court. I thought it would really fill out this area a lot better than, once again, just doing trees. I think this would be really cool. And these two buildings right here are both actually residential buildings. By the way, we have a Excel spreadsheet for every building in Panhandle City, all the names of them that we've named ourselves. And I also have like a little selector box that you can select if it's a residential, an office, a commercial, or an industry. And yeah, we have an entire spreadsheet with all of the data, like pictures of the buildings, so we know which ones they are. It's kind of crazy. And I even implemented a cool system where essentially you can write down the, or you can type in the number of like residences that are in a particular building. So like the high rises, you know, we can say there's 24, there's like 24, you know, let's say residences in one of the apartment buildings, right? And then I have it multiply by 3.1, which is about the family average size. In America, there's about how many people per household. Then I have it automatically multiplied by 3.1 and then round up, and it gives us a population number. So I believe the current population with all the buildings in downtown done is 2,400 people, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I think that's a good start for sure, because we certainly have many, many, many more neighborhoods to come within the city. And so, you know, 2,400 is a good start. I'm glad, happy about that. And then we also have, you know, like I said, we have plenty more things to build, but the sheet is really cool. I'll maybe show you guys sometime that on maybe a live stream or a other sort of like maybe a different style type video. I can maybe get into the, if you guys want to see that, let me know. Kind of if you want me to get into that nitty gritty of the kind of behind the scenes of how we make Panhandle City run, like the mods, the data sheets that we have, our to-do list, how we get our signs, things of that nature, let me know, because I'd be happy to do a video on that, kind of showing you guys everything. But anyways, this is I decided to put like a big tree here that would essentially be like a Christmas tree for this community. I don't have it lit up or decorated or anything right now. But you typically see really, really big Christmas trees in downtown areas, so I thought that would be cool. It looks a little funny, but you know what? I'm gonna keep it. You know, you gotta have a little character. And so yeah, with those few benches I just placed, I mean, this downtown area is about as jazzed up as it's gonna get. You can see here, there's a couple empty gaps you see, but that's where the bridges are gonna be. So we're gonna have that one main bridge going to the right. And then we're also going to add some smaller bridges kind of in between the buildings that are going to connect up to some roads on the other side of the island, just so that, you know, I feel like it's pretty common to have like kind of like an old historic kind of bridges. I feel like are a pretty common thing that you see like alongside like the big main bridge. You'll see kind of like an old historic one. Typically they may be sometimes converted into like a walking path or something, but we're actually going to have them be used as maybe just like a little 2-lane bridge that goes across kind of on the side. And you guys will see all that here in the next time lapse. So I won't ramble too much more. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this time lapse. Got a lot done in this one. In the next one, we're going to be doing the subway, some bridges, and then who knows from there. It's just kind of a free reign, but I look forward to it and hope you guys do as well. Make sure to subscribe and like this video if you like, dislike if you dislike, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.